I know that we're moving great guns in certain parts of the world on inoculations and vaccinations and technology, but I just don't see how we can get to anywhere near business as usual, certainly in the first half of the year, maybe a lot longer. But you tell me, sir.
Yeah, well, good morning. And clearly, it was the most challenging year in the history of the travel and tourism industry. The impact of travel restrictions and physical distancing, hotel closures had a massive impact across the travel industry on revenues and into IHG as well. But I think the resiliency of our business model shone through. Our great people. We produced a small operating profit where we actually were cash flow positive last year, even more so in the second half, and have strong liquidity. And we looked after our stakeholders, after you mentioned our customers and owner. And now it's about kind of what's next for IHG. And so how do we continue to accelerate the growth of our brands around the world? How do we work with our customers and our owners as the recovery gains momentum? And how do we have a positive impact on our communities and on the planet going forward too? So it's all about the future, because we know travel is going to come back. We have seen that time and time again. And we know that our customers want to travel. There's a huge desire to be out there seeing the world and that pent up demand. So it's going to come back. It's just going to be a matter of time.
Yet, Keith, and I hear you. I'm desperate to travel. I love traveling. I've stayed in many of yours over the years as well. But I have spoken a lot, as indeed we all have, indeed you have as well, to a lot of CEOs, a lot of businessmen who are the bread and butter in many ways of your business as well. And they've said to me they've reassessed their lives. They are not going to be traveling as much. They're just not going to get on as many planes as well. So I'm loath to say this because we probably had this question with your predecessors in the last crisis 10 years ago. But do you think things have changed for good in terms of business travel?
I think some things will change. I mean, after 9/11, things changed a bit. The way that we go through airports is quite different, but people got back to traveling. And we saw throughout the pandemic, the amount of business travel that continued, I call it non-discretionary business travel. It's individuals and teams who have to go to a manufacturing plant to service it and spend a month there. There are people who have to, again, travel from point A to point B to do their job. Our extended stay properties were running 60% occupancy during the pandemic, and our mainstream brands in the US were running about 45 to 50%. A lot of business travel in there, and that's going to come back in phases. But you're right. I mean, am I going to do the one-day trip from London to New York for a 3-hour meeting? Probably not. So there will be some impact on business travel. On the flip side, though, the impact on working is going to change, I think, how travel comes into play, though. With more people working remotely, living remotely from the corporate offices, I've talked to a number of people now saying, you know what? I may not be driving to the office every day, but I'm going to have to fly once a month now to go to the office. I'm not going to be living close to it. So I think there are going to be, again, some positives and some negatives on business travel, but it will come back over the coming years, as will groups and meetings and events.
Keith, can I ask you about the nature of the recovery that you see ahead here? Clearly, Boris Johnson has now set out a roadmap for the UK that I think hopefully hotel operators can work from. What do you see in terms of the trend in reopening around the geographies you operate in?
Yes, I think we're all quite happy with Boris's announcement, so we can stop working from our home offices. What we're seeing really is a direct correlation to vaccinations. And so, our view is that with every vaccination that we're a bit further down the tunnel. And I told our teams, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and every vaccine gets us closer to that. We have seen travel return in certain markets like China, for example. Last year, near the end of last year, things were back to normal almost. We had 500-person group meetings taking place. We had planes being full. So it shows that when the vaccine are either distributed or the virus is contained, travel will return and it will come back at a reasonable clip. But it's going to be a multi-year recovery just because of the nature of it. As we pointed out, some business travel will take time to come back. Some of the big conventions won't be booked for a year or two. But again, leisure demand, we're already seeing a significant surge in that and the interest in it in our recent surveys. And I was looking at some of the tour operators' notes last night saying after Boris Johnson's announcement here in the UK, bookings are up 100% for some of the tour operators. So you can see that people definitely want to get out there.
And Keith, you put in the statement a line about investing for growth. What does that mean in real terms? Are you looking to make acquisitions, or is this more about pouring money into existing franchises?
It's basically leveraging our existing capabilities and investing behind our core brands. So I mean, throughout the pandemic, we still opened 285 hotels last year and signed nearly one hotel a day and have 1,800 hotels in development around the world, 40% of which are under construction today, too. So we're definitely going to continue to invest in our brands, invest in the capabilities to accelerate our growth and to outperform. And we outperformed our competition last year in terms of market share and in terms of relative performance. And so we think we can continue to do that going forward.